Greetings, friends. This is Annette of AnnetteLeonard.com coming back at ya with another episode of Chronic Wellness. Thank you for being here. So, on the last episode, I talked to you about receiving IVIG, and one of the only ways that I could get such a quantity of an intravenous med like that. 40 hours every 4 weeks was that I had a port installed. Now, a port, depending on who you're talking to, can mean many things. For me, my port was akin to what we call a PowerPort, and it's something that is meant to be semi-permanently installed into your body. It makes you a little bit bionic. It is a device about the diameter of a quarter, and it has a rubbery top and a hard plastic bottom, and the hard plastic bottom gets stitched into your tissue. The whole device is covered by your body, so the whole thing is stitched inside of you. It is usually performed as an outpatient surgery, and they make an incision and they put the whole thing inside of you. And that rubbery top then, and it also has a couple of connecting tubes that get threaded into your own veins. And that rubbery top then is where a needle can be inserted, and then intravenous medications can be pushed right in through that disc and go directly into your veins. And it also has a return, so blood can be drawn from your port just like it could be from a vein. So my port sat right here. You can see the incision where it was. That's a very typical place for current ports to be put. They used to be put over on the same side as your heart, but because we need so much heart access, if something were to go wrong on someone, they since have started putting them on the right side of the chest. So it was on my right side of my chest. And so my nurses would just stick a needle directly in there, hang up my bags of IV meds. And if I was coming the 5 days in a row, we would usually just leave the needle in, seal it over real well with, what are those clear plastic, just bandages. And then I'd come in the next morning, we'd open it up, attach the line, and I'd be on my way to receiving meds within just a few minutes of being there. And so that was the way for many years that I was getting medication, was direct line in through my ports. What's true is that it's so much, such a quantity and volume, and generally having a mixed connective tissue disease and being on prednisone for as long as I have, my veins are in pretty poor shape. And so those facts all together mean that it would be pretty difficult for me to be poked each of the times that I would have needed to be poked for them to access my veins and get me that quantity of an infusion just straight into my arms, or heaven forbid, legs or toes or something, as much as I was getting an infusion. So that port was invaluable. And I say was because I no longer have the port, and I'm actually kind of sad about that. It's not because the port stopped functioning per se, but as I said to you, the port can take in liquids and also have blood return. And somewhere around year 4 of having my port, we stopped being able to pull blood out of it to take blood labs and to clear the line. And when that happens, there's just a higher risk of infection if you're not able to move liquids both ways through that port. So they sent me to have a little study done of it, to have some dye injected and to see what happened and why things weren't moving. And it turned out that my body had just, on one end of one of the threads, remember I mentioned there were two little lines coming out of that port, at one end of one line, I just created a little cell sac, and it was sort of impenetrable from one way, so liquids could get through it, but when we tried to pull blood out, it would just suck that little cell sac into that line and not let blood return through it. And as I say, the potential for that then to become cruddy, start to create an infection, and then for me to be dealing with a whole infection in this side of my chest was too great of a risk. And so this time last year, had the port removed. Yeah, I'll cut the story there and tell you tomorrow about my experiences with SCIG. So stay tuned. And if you have a port, tell me why. If you've been advised to get a port and you have questions about it, tell me what your questions are. And until we're together again, I am grateful to share your time and attention. It is an honor. And I hope that you are finding ways to keep your mind and your heart and your spirit well.